And then it's like a little bit quieter group earlier. So I would love some real vocal participation this time around. I need some answers to my questions. Otherwise, it's just me yelling at the screen, and all the people in the stock room think I'm insane. So I would love for you guys to participate with me. That makes me very happy. Okay, let me start sharing, and we will jump right in. All right, so art and science of storytelling. It is definitely both an art and a science. We are trying to make the story beautiful, inspirational, create these great seasonal themes, and tell these amazing stories, but it's all for the purpose of driving the business. So there is definitely a lot of calculation and strategy behind the stories that we are telling in order to make money, which is what we're trying to do as a retail store, right? So it's definitely both things, and hopefully you'll see how those things weave together with storytelling through visual merchandising. All right, our objectives, same as Ari, if you were with us earlier, we're trying to gain a deeper understanding of the importance of storytelling and styling to maximize business results, like we just said. We want to build your merchant mindset to enable quality decision-making as it relates to storytelling and styling. So how are you empowered to make the right decisions for your business? How are you really being a shopkeeper and understanding your own four walls and like what works for your guests? And then we want to leverage storytelling and styling to support the sustainment phase of the floor set. And we know that the sustainment phase is the phase from when you set floor set until you start planning the next one. So it's the longest phase of the floor set life cycle, and there's a lot of change and things that happen during that time. So how are we using storytelling or protecting storytelling during that time to keep the stores really fresh for all of our guests until the newness set? Oh, wow, I'm getting a few additions in, so letting them in really quick. Okay. So first of all, what is storytelling? So let's take a moment, let's absorb. If you were with me earlier for Aries storytelling, what's different now? Like, how is this story different than the one we looked at earlier? And then if you weren't with us, like, how do these photos make you feel? Like, what are the themes you're seeing? What are different things you're noticing? You know, what does this make you think of? How does it connect to your life? You can hit me with a chat. You can speak out loud.
So compared to Aerie, right, you got that like I'm on vacation with my girls, you know, doing my thing, we're comfortable, we're pretty. This one, same vibe, like we're having fun, but like we're making like working out and being active a good time and get that point across in the product.
Totally. And like offline is all about movement, right? So every story that we tell in offline is rooted in this idea of movement. And that's something that is different from Aerie, because I think even sometimes Aerie is very rooted in not moving. It's the lounge element. It's the like being cozy element. So offline is all about how can you move in this? What activities can you do? It's not just about working out. None of these girls here are really shown like at the gym, right? It's like, I mean, yeah, our fabrics are great performance fabrics, but it's really just about like, how does this fit into your lifestyle and the fun activities that you do with your friends? I love that. What else do you guys see in these photos, or what does it make you think of? Do they make you happy? Makes me happy. The sunshine really makes me happy living in where I live. I love anytime I see the sun. Awesome. Any other thoughts here? How does this connect to your emotions? Like, how does it pull at your heartstrings?
To me, it inspires her to be healthy.
Lally was saying that it inspires her to kind of be healthy because, well, she does live that lifestyle. So when she looks at it, something that she can relate to. It's clothing she would wear. It's these are activities she might do in kind of just enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's like, I want to be here. I want to be with them. I want to play cricket or whatever it is that they're playing. And I want to like do that with my friends. And I think back to times when I was just like having a day at, it kind of looks like they're at the country club, right? Just like with all of my friends and like relaxing. And yeah, it just kind of puts you in this mood of like happiness, sunshine, especially coming out of like colder weather. It makes me excited for warmer weather. So I think with storytelling, we use this word aspirational a lot. Someone earlier said like living your best life. And what visual merchandising is trying to do is like connect that to a product, right? So it's like, yeah, they're having this great time. It's very like what I aspire for my weekend to look like. Oh, and they have all the perfect clothes to wear while they're doing it, or they have the great accessories. So that's kind of how we're trying to sell our product through storytelling. Awesome. All great things. Okay, so storytelling generally is trying to take our product and bring it to life. So instead of just seeing it lay flat like this or just on a hanger, we're really seeing like where we might go in the product, like what we might do, and then for offline specifically, like how I can move in this. And I think the movement really shows up in all of our marketing images. They're never just like standing straight on. They're always doing some kind of not really necessarily athletic movement. They're just doing movement. They're jumping, they're running, they're climbing. And then I also love like the variety here we see in settings. So again, it's not just the gym, it's not just the running track. It's like you're hiking, you're just like walking across the street, you know, you're climbing the monkey bars, whatever it is. It's not necessarily about like just working out. Yeah, and Angela's saying it showcases how we can wear athleisure all the time. I love that. It's like, it's a whole category of clothing now. It's not just, you know, made for when you're trying to sweat. So that's really great. So what themes do you guys see here? I mean, if you were with us in Aerie earlier, you have the cheat sheet, but like, what are we seeing in all these photos that we don't necessarily see when the pictures are just of the clothes laying flat?
We see movement of products and how you can style it. If you could read their lips, I'm the voice to their lips.
I love it. Yes, so movement, and then you said how you can style it. So I don't see any of them just wearing the one item we saw before. And so I'm seeing it paired with an outfit. And I think something at Offline that is a little different from Aerie here is like the shoe choice. It's so important, right? Because they're not all wearing sneakers. Like she's wearing Docs, she's wearing Converse. Like these are shoes that are casual wear shoes. They're not just for the gym. So again, we're like reiterating this idea of like, yeah, it's active wear, but like you're active all the time in your life and wherever you're going and however you're moving. So totally outfitting, movement. And then I think just mood is really communicated. All these, like they look like they're having a good time, no matter what they're doing. If they're with people or if they're just on their own, listening to headphones, like we're just in a good mood because you know what? Exercising gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't kill their husbands. That is what our fearless leader tells us. If no one's seen Legally Blonde, I'm not creepy. Okay, so how does this show up within our store? So we've seen a lot of marketing images, and we definitely utilize marketing images a lot within the store. So it's really important that we are changing out our uppers, our huge upper imagery that we have in Offline, to reflect the story of the season, because that's definitely very influential in the storytelling in the store. But what else do we have? So in Offline, the store design is very intentional and very much ties to this story of movement. So a lot of you guys, most of you probably have the ping pong table, some of you don't. So this is just a fun element that really brings in that idea of movement into our space and helps to like create that vibe. It's just like fun and whimsy. That's like whimsy is the word that comes to mind when I think of the Offline store design. So we also have a lot of like curved architecture that just also feels like very just different and again, whimsical. And then our video screens are hugely important to us at Offline to communicate storytelling because, you know, we don't have bus forms. So how are we showing outfitting and styling inspiration in a way that really gets the point across without having those forms? Our video screens are really important. So just a plug here, if your screen is ever not working, that's not a like, I'll get to it later thing. That's like I need to get that fixed right now because it's really important to storytelling and just the store experience in general. All right, what else do we have up our sleeve? We have product displays. So we see this a lot in our uppers, sometimes in other ways. Style bars come to mind as you're heading into the fitting room. And then we have a lot of great cropping elements that change with the season. So we've got, like, right now, this great grass greenery. We're in springtime. That feels really seasonal. And then, of course, our dog friends. So while we don't have our bus forms, we do have our dog forms. If you don't know, they do all have names. They are shown in the the props and pictures guide. If you're ever wondering about what the dogs' names are, we love them, and they really help us to, again, create that really fun atmosphere and just, like, really laid back. Like, we're not super technical. We're not going to tell you, like, all the wicking properties of every kind of legging. It's just more like, oh, we love this. It feels good. It also performs well, but it's more about how you feel and just having fun. And these dogs kind of lend themselves to that. All right, here's a flash of our style bars, which can also be educational on fit as well as showcasing outfitting. And then product styling. So we will spend a lot of time today talking about product styling. We just barely touched on it in Aerie, but in offline it's so important because of the absence of bus forms. So it's just like showing those details is something that we really want to do in offline merchandising. Okay, so how does storytelling fit into the visual merchandising filters? If you're with us on Aerie, you can't answer this one. So where does this fall within our filters? If you've been doing the training this week, you learned that on Tuesday, or if you did your module. So which filter does storytelling fall under? Anybody? I guess, like, who decides what the story is? I don't decide. You don't decide. Who decides?
It falls under brand direction.
Yes, it totally does, because the brand is who's telling us what the story of the season is. And we want the story to be the same in every offline store that we go into, right? So it's this idea of, like, all of our stores having the same thing going on, and our guests feeling like if they walk into one in Miami, it's pretty much the same as the one in, Chicago. So brand direction for sure. We're going to get all of our info about the seasonal story shifts from the floor set documents. The kickoff is such a great resource to really dig in and understand all the new shop concepts, or for offline will be like what collections are coming out, what kind of like themes we're going for, what are our big key items. All of those things are going to be found under your brand direction tool. So awesome. Okay, so we talked a minute ago about like some of the ways you see storytelling show up in stores, and now we're really going to narrow it down and say that there are 4 core elements of storytelling in offline merchandising. So some of these you'll see are similar to Aerie, and then we have one that is a little bit different. So whereas in Aerie we have shop concepts, in offline we have product collections. So those are really important in the way that we merchandise in offline and how we separate our products. Then we have color story, of course, and balance and symmetry of presentations, and then styling. So all of these things are like those cornerstones of storytelling in offline merchandising. So the first one we're going to talk about is collections. So by collections, what we really mean are these like big name fabrication collections. So we all know them and love them. You learn about them when you're learning about all the different leggings and products. So these would be our main collections that sustain all the time. So we've got our OG, Real Me Extra, which we do consider those, even though they're both Real Me, they are different fabrications. So we consider them separate collections. And then we have the Hugger, Gold, and Warm Up. So those are really our key collections. Now we're going to look a little bit at some collections that are not necessarily like core collections, but these are layering collections. So where these guys, we don't want to mix these together. That's one key part of offline merchandising, is keeping your Hugger just with your Hugger. We want to be able to use these signs that direction the guests to be able to shop, by the collection. That's how we want to educate our guests to shop with us. But we have these layering collections that are kind of like fleece-based. We want to encourage like outfitting through these. So these really can be mixed with our core collections in a way that builds this great outfit. So these can stand on their own. So you see the girl on the right side of this throwback fleece. So the second picture here, she's really just wearing her throwback fleece. But then on the left here, she's layering it with a gold set. And same kind of thing over here with the OTT sets. We've got a fully OTT outfit, and then we also have showing it layered with Real Me. So we love to offer these as like layering over your leggings. If you didn't know, OTT actually stands for over the top. So that's what its function is to be that layering piece. Okay, and then we have these kind of like ancillary collections that like come and go throughout the year. We wouldn't consider them core collections, and they're usually very seasonal, so they change season to season. Sometimes we have them, sometimes we don't, and they can be great flex collections that can pair with other collections if needed, and then definitely with those layering things. So our seamless collection is a great example of that. It kind of comes and goes in different ways. We generally see that the tops maintain, like some basic tops in those. We don't always have leggings though. So this is definitely a flex collection. And then we have some seasonal collections, like I think about the velour at holiday time. We also have right now this like gingham, kind of seamless, kind of like we're not really sure what it is. So those things are able to flex in and out with other collections, but just want to reiterate our big guy collections, our main six, we don't want to mix them with each other. Okay, so how does this look on a map? For Aerie earlier, we really talked about how all of our shops live very specifically together within the store. I want my tables for my Pretty Boho shop to live by my Pretty Boho walls. And with offline, it's a little bit different. So we do sometimes keep our collections walls by tables, but with offline, it's more about like the color story and flow of the store rather than necessarily like my Real Me table has to be my Real Me wall. It's more about we do this whole story across collections of like, for instance, right now we have this great green pop in a few different collections. So it's really about lining those up together rather than having necessarily like, okay, my Real Me Extra has to go by my Real Me Extra wall. So here we kind of see that mixed up. So your walls don't necessarily match the table that's in front of them. And that's okay as long as within the wall or fixture, we're staying really true to that collection. Okay, so here's an example of what we're saying with this. So this is all Real Me walls. One of them is a Real Me Extra. So just calling out again that we would really consider that as a separate kind of collection. But these different Real Me walls are not necessarily reading the same story, right? Like they are pretty different between all of them. So we're not trying to force them all together in the same story just because they're the same collection, if that makes sense. So it's really more about the color and like the theme of where they're placed in your store. And that's why we do a lot of signage to direct our guests in that way. Okay, an area where this is a little bit different, where we might mix collections, is a situation like is happening in the pavilion right now, right? Where we've created this really great black legging destination, and we do have multiple collections pulled in here together. However, they're still very separated and they're still signed specifically with product marketing that still navigates the guest to that style. Almost like especially in this situation when it can all just look like the same black legging, right? So all of that large format navigational marketing is really important in offline, especially if we are pulling these collections closer together or within one collection together. But this is very much an outlier. We usually would not mix collections in this way. Okay, so now we're hopping into Color Story. And if you were with us on Aerie earlier, this might be kind of fun for you because this is like a leveled up edition of what we did earlier. Same photos of color stories, but we're actually going to see them translated into some scenery. So now that we are out of collections into Color Story, I think the thing with offline that's different from Aerie is earlier, Aerie, hold on guys. Okay, I'm back. So with offline, we don't see quite as much of a gradient. In Aerie, we see that strong warm to cool almost every time. It's like the Roy G. Biv rainbow, right? But for offline, it's more about specific color stories. So like that green that we were talking about a minute ago, and really it's all cool colors, but it's a very specific assortment of cool colors. So that's where I think that this kind of exercise really plays into offline storytelling well. So here earlier, we did look at this color story, but some of you are new. So any thoughts on like what this color story might bring to mind for you, like a destination or a time of year, or like what does it make you think about? Okay, sorry, less movement behind me. Any thoughts? What does this bring to mind? I need to know. Where are we going with this color story?
Spring.
Ooh, spring. Love it. Okay.
All right,
All right,
I'm gonna
let's
go
see.
crazy. I'm at the beach. Oh my gosh, that was my answer.
Well, look at that.
Water
Color
into sand.
it connects our brains and we don't even know. And that's the cool thing about a color story. Yes, like totally beach, but not necessarily like white sands. Like I'm a little bit more rustic, got some driftwood for sure. Okay, what about this one? Am I a little bit tropical here? Are we feeling the Miami vibe? Yeah, so like very summer, right? That's very summer, makes me feel like it's very punchy. All right, here's this one. What do we think about this one? Come on, man, the chat is empty. Let's go.
Fall.
Ooh, fall. Yep, I think you're reading my mind there. Yeah, totally.
that's great.
Autumnal. All right, and last one. Holiday. We had to throw it in there. Ashlyn, you're going to love this. I had to throw in a little Hogwarts too. So, all right. You know, holiday, that red and green, we know what those mean. So color stories can really inspire different feelings depending on what kind of color story it is. It's not just warm to cool or not just, you know, only neutrals. It's like what kind of color story is it? And I think we see that really show up in offline. So here's an example of kind of like the Aerie style of color story within offline. So this is definitely warm to cool, gradient across the wall. It's a really strong color story. It makes me feel very like spring, summery, quite a happy color story. So we see that great gradient. Again, just reminding you guys, nudes usually live with our warm, grays with the cool, and the white and black are really good bridge colors. And then here's an example of that kind of very specific color story that's not a warm to cool. So this is where we're really seeing this very cool story with these pops of green that you see throughout the store. And these are all very different collections, but they're all kind of telling the same story. So we would see these placed near each other in the store to connect that great pop of green. And there's our pop of green. All right, so now we're into balance and symmetry. Made it through collections, we did color story, now we're in balance and symmetry. So if you were with us in Aerie earlier, same ideas apply here, but we do get a little wild in a minute. So first wall, very similar to an Aerie wall. We're seeing symmetrical build. We're seeing a mix of categories to create an outfit. We've got our sports bra, top, bottom. We're seeing variety of pattern and texture. We have that key display idea that gives your eyes a break. With offline, we generally see some kind of informational marketing that's always going to be like central. So whether that's telling you about a legging fabrication or calling out a style or a collection, that is shown here. So similar to Aerie. Now this is where we get a little bit more just offline. So this is where this wall is not going to be symmetrical, but it's very balanced. So how do we achieve that? So we almost see like a pattern happening. So we've got like these great face outs all the way across the wall. And then we have this other type of like face out over T-bar. So we're not symmetrical, but we are following the pattern and we're very balanced. And we're still kind of anchored by this great cozy marketing in the middle. So if I were to adjust this wall, I'm not worried about symmetry, I'm worried about balance and continuing that balance across. So I don't want to change like this green hoodie to, you know, a T-bar without doing something to the other face outs here that would still continue that great pattern. Or like move one of my T-bars up without moving one of the other ones. So it's more about balance within some of our offline walls. We see this a lot within offline wall builds. And then I think you notice that too in the upper. Almost none of our uppers are symmetrical, but they are balanced because we have this heavy product display on one side, but it's on a smaller frame or marketing. And then we have the large format marketing that has a little bit less going on. So they kind of like balance each other out. And even where our names of collections are placed is very purposeful to create that great balance between the two and the upper. Okay, so let's look at this in a table. Symmetrical table setup, very similar to Aerie. We've got the mix, we've got the symmetry, and then we have the key display idea. We're also trying to create balance between like our wardrobers on either side and with our placement of marketing on the table. Okay, so another way to think about offline tables, and this is kind of similar to our wall where we had balance but not symmetry. Some offline tables will be laid out. I like to think of them as like a flat lay. So if you guys are familiar with that from social media, we see this a lot with like people showing what's in their bag or packing outfits for a trip. This is a very weird example, but I thought it was really cute of like this kid stuff. So the idea of a flat lay is that you have this square space and you're filling it with items that are not the same as each other. They're all different sizes and they're not square, but you're filling the full space. So you're not having these voids. You're really placing them in a way that they fill in all the space and they all work together to kind of tell a story. So I think it's a great analogy to what we're doing. So getting us a little closer to how a table would be set this way is like an outfit flat lay like this. So you see like all the elements of your outfit. And again, they're filling this white space in a way that kind of showcases each item, but is fitting them all together to make a story. So this is what something like that would look like within an offline table. So this table is definitely not necessarily symmetrical in how we're setting all the products, but we are filling all the space on the table. It all makes sense as an outfit. We've got all the elements of the outfit. We're showing accessories, and then we're creating balance with trying to fill like-size items, smaller items, 2 of them, a larger item, 1 of them. So it all kind of works together to create this like flat lay-like, very balanced presentation. All right, so that's something that is definitely different for offline. We don't really do this for Aerie. Okay, so now we're into styling. So earlier in the Aerie storytelling, this whole section was almost all about bus forms, and it is not going to be that way for us because we do not have bus forms within offline to do that work for us. So we have to do it through our product presentations. So styling is doing the same thing here as it is in Aerie. So we're going to reinforce brand strategy. We're providing outfitting inspiration through this. We're showcasing product details. We're highlighting current trends and key items, and we're elevating our presentations generally. Okay, so let's look at our first example. Oh no, we're looking at a lot of examples. Okay, so how do we achieve this in ways other than styling our presentation? So here's some things that we'll look at first. We talked about the video screen earlier. This is huge. It's a way that we can actually show the item in movement. We can show lots of different outfits within like a minute period of the loop. So this is really important for us. Also our upper marketing, I love this example because she is wearing the same outfit in every photo, but you notice something different in every single photo. So I think offline photography, you see it a lot more zoomed in on those specific details to really showcase the things about the outfit that you might not notice if it's on the hanger. And then again, I think the shoes are always shown. I think we're really encouraging like different types of activity by the shoes that we're showing. And then over here on the right side of the page, we've got our large format banner marketing. We see that again on our banner stands here, and then in the black legging situation. So this is giving information to our guests. It's also, again, showing the item on a body, which is something we're missing from having the bus form. So all of this kind of being eye level and very large is important for us. And then we do have our dog friends. So our dogs can showcase accessories similar to how a regular bus form could. So that's why we don't ever want to leave whatever's hanging from their mouth away. We want to have that there because it's a way of styling. Awesome. Okay, and then we also have, just digging into the upper displays, there's lots of different ways that we showcase items in these. So it can just be like hanging a fun way to showcase shape or pattern like we see with the flares. You know, sports bra color assortment here with a fun accessory. And then here we're seeing layering shown, which is pretty cool. We can't really do that a lot without bus forms. So we can, you know, hang shirts over bralettes. And then, of course, our dog friend is showcasing an accessory here. All right, and then style bars. So style bars, different times of years have different functions. Right now, we have them set as like a legging menu, like you see on the right side here. Other times of year, we may use this as more of outfitting inspiration and showing like a full outfit rather than more like technical details. Okay, so now we're into styling presentations. And we're going to zoom in on a few things that hopefully you saw when you saw the floor set. I think looking at the offline floor set document on an iPad rather than printed is really important because you really need to zoom in to see some of the ways that we're highlighting all the product details. And some of them are called out on the sides of our floor set pages and some of them aren't. So here we're going to look at a few things zoomed in. So this is pulled straight from the document. So we're telling you, you know, you're layering, you're tying this up, you're really scrunching your sleeves. So similar to something we'd see on an Aerie wall. And then you may not have seen this one, but you really had to zoom in to tell some of these sports bras are turned around. So they're hung backwards to showcase the back detail on the sports bra. So things like that can be missed if you don't really take a minute to dissect. Here, of course, like we talked about the styling of the shirt, theming of product in offline is really important because it's like the only thing speaking to the guest. So these front shirts, it's almost like it's the bus form wearing it. So you wouldn't put a shirt on a form without theming it. Same thing with your face outs in offline. I think theming the product can go a long way. And then, of course, addition of accessories. So how are you showing what accessories to wear if you don't have the form? You're placing them nearby in a way that encourages that outfitting. All right, now we're going to look at a different presentation. We're going to look at a few more zoom-ins. All right, so we talked about this in Aerie a little bit of swim hanging. Similar with sports bra hanging here, we really want to showcase those details. Generally, we're going to call it out in a floor set note, but sometimes you just kind of have to zoom in and look at how they are hanging. We didn't call out really how we're hanging to show the waistband of these leggings in the document, but if you zoom in here, you really can tell we're showcasing that cross band in the front. Scrunching of sleeves here to give that dimension and movement. And then here's a call out for showcasing a product detail. And then here we're showing the waistbands in the folds. So it's really all about the details for offline. Okay, we're gonna look at one more and then I'm gonna have you guys call out our last example. So here's a table, I think from last floor set, where we're just like flipping out the side of this to like show a detail inside. We're also layering something underneath to get some outfitting inspiration. Our large format marketing here is really important because the way that we had to merchandise this table, it's not necessarily intuitive if you're not really looking that it's shorts that match the top because the shorts are laid out above the top. And so our girl in this picture here is pretty important to show the matching set as a whole. And then just like a quick flip of a sleeve to show the fun detail on these little cap sleeves. It's something small that could be missed, but that's important. All right, what do you guys see in this presentation? This should look pretty familiar. I think it's still existing in stores right now.
I've got the hoods popped where you can see what like the hoods and the sleeves look like.
Yep, I love that. I love a hood pop. It not only showcases that detail, like, hey, I have a hood, but it also just like gives this great movement. It's almost like the wardrober is like wearing it. I love that.
The accessory, the headband wrapped around the jar. You can see what it looks like, not just in the jar.
Yes, if they were just inside, you would be like, I don't know what that is, and I'm probably not going to try to find out. But when it's on the outside, it's like, oh, so cute. Yep. And our little dog is wearing it over there too. That's pretty fun.
You also have your wardrobers where you got your pants on one side to see what they look like, and then you got your hoodies on the other. That way you can see like a full representation of both of them.
Yeah, yeah. The ways they're hanging, they've got their ties are tied to show like, hey, I've got a drawstring. All those things are really great. What do you guys notice about the hoodies across the table? Anything?
The sleeves are cuffed, and then they also made sure to fold it so you could see zipper detail, so that because it's laying, you would, if you would fold it a certain way, you wouldn't be able to see that. So they made sure to highlight that.
Yeah, it's such a specific fold because the zipper pulls on these are like a different color, which is such a fun element of this item that if it was folded a different way, I might not see it. And I think we've highlighted that by unzipped. They're all like half zipped. They're not zipped all the way up. They're not zipped all the way down. It's like really calling out that detail, which seems so small, but that can be a selling point. Like I was in we were walking a store yesterday with my regional director, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy this because it has a green zipper pull. Like I love it so much. It's so fun. And that was like the element that sold her on the item. So awesome. Anything else you guys see?
You can also see where like how your picnic kind of like folds in with your like regular hoodie and your shorts. Like you can wear that whole outfit together.
Oh yeah, we see outfitting for sure, right? Like we've got our short. I have a layering short if I didn't want to wear like a little booty short around, the country club. I just wanted to wear that once I got out to play tennis or whatever. I've got my sports bra type top, and then I have my layering piece. Totally. Outfitting is absolutely happening in this table, and it's very overt for sure. Yeah. What about the shorts? Like, what do you guys think about how the shorts are folded?
I noticed the seam first. I noticed the seam in the short detail first. That might not be the right answer, but that's what I see.
Yeah, no, I think that we're highlighting this like stripe down the side of the shorts, right? And then on the tabletop, there's not really that detail, so I'm showcasing the Joker tag to tell you a little more about the item. So we do like to show the Joker tag to give information, but when there is a feature like the stripe, that's more important to show than maybe a Joker tag, right? So I think like the differences between those are interesting. Yeah, and I think the other things I would call out is like our little dog friend with his tennis racket. It's like, oh, cute. It's like this tennis moment that maybe I wasn't connecting before, or like, oh, I could wear this to meet my friend for tennis. And then on the other side, we do have this little telescoping sign. These are placed throughout the store, and they're very intentionally placed to give that little moment of like fun, little fun sayings. So I don't want to miss those. If those are ever placed, we want to place those. And a lot of times the sayings that are shown are intentional as well. So we want to make sure that those are placed correctly as like a nice little addition to the whole presentation. And that's just that little sign that says self-care isn't selfish. And it also helps to give us that balance and symmetry, right? So we have that on the left, we have our dog on the right. It just has that feeling of balance that maybe we wouldn't have if we didn't have both of those. All great call outs. I love it. Okay, cool. So some highlights around some how-tos. So sometimes how-tos are very seasonal, and within the floor set document, like we see here on the left, that, again, we're showcasing the details. So we really want to show how these bags are in real life with real stuff in them. So we don't just want them to lay flat. We want to show all the features because they have cool, like, things that hold things. So just making sure that you're digging into those as you're setting presentations. And then just wanted to call out that we have some evergreen how-tos. So that would be a how-to that is all the time. Whenever you set OTTs, they should be set in this way. And this how-to is always located at the back of the floor set document, so it won't be within the page. But just wherever you're hanging OTTs, this is how you want to do it, wherever you're folding them, to really showcase the details that we want the guests to know and understand of this, like, key layering collection. All right. So now we're into sustainment. So within the floor set life cycle, sustainment is that longest time period between floor sets where we want to make sure that our store stays fresh and new for the guests and is full and presentations are impactful, and we're maintaining this idea of storytelling from floor set to floor set. So if we have times during sustainment where maybe we're selling through items quicker than we can get them back in, or if you're in that weird time where stuff's a little bit late and you're having to sub things before they arrive, here are some guiding principles for maintaining storytelling during that phase. So you're going to want to sub items from the same collection or a layering collection. Try not to mix those major fabrication collections within presentation. So like we talked about at the beginning. We want to keep outfitting top of mind. So whereas I think sometimes in Aerie, we do a lot of key item presentations where it's like, wow, the whole flower stand is just one fleece top, and we are like cool with that. We might add some accessories. Outfitting is so important in offline. We always want to have that 3 to 4 piece outfit of like the sports bra, the bottom, the layering piece, the accessory, right? And then protect and preserve all the elements of storytelling, so color, story, balance, and symmetry, and styling elements to inspire the guests throughout sustainment. Okay, so let's look at an example. So the table that we just saw, we were having some late arrivals to the floor set. So we were already saying, okay, like a lot's going to be late, so we're giving this temporary adjustment of like, you know, pulling all the sports bras to the middle, maybe the top's going to be accessories, bottom's just going to be these shorts. And then I think the store, when they went to set floor set, they were like, wow, we really don't even have any of that. So what are we going to do to keep this very large fixture? If you're familiar with Aerie merchandising, the flower stand, like we talked about in our earlier training, is a very large fixture, usually holds a key item. The bleachers are very similar in an offline store. So your bleachers are going to be usually a key item destination, very large, a lot of space to fill. So this is what the store did. So they didn't get a lot of the product. It looks like they really only got, I'm going to try to zoom in. Sorry, guys. It looks like they only really got the like picnic print in the shorts. But they were able to leverage some past season products and some products from the adjacent wardrobers to fill in this presentation. So they protected color story, right? I'm still seeing this great warm to cool across. I still get my outfitting, got my short, I've got my layering piece on the bottom, I've got my top in the middle, and we still have this great balance and symmetry. So because I eliminated a wardrober by pulling some of the pants to the front nesters, I had to eliminate that wardrobe on the left. So I moved my sign over with my dog to give some balance to having the wardrobe left on the right side, right? So I still have some good balance between the sides. And I think it's also good to note that there's still a lot of styling happening. So especially when you're making adjustments, it's almost more important than ever to really nail those styling details. So we're showing like the sleeves on our shirts across the middle. We're still having our jars with our headbands, even though we only got 2 colors. We're really still showing those things. So this was like a very dire situation where they really didn't have a lot of the product at all, but they really made it work. And they didn't try to like do anything wild with like totally changing out the story. They just made the adjacent product and some carryover products work hard for them. Okay, so I think we've got one more example. Oh, here's all of our elements. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you guys to help us fill this one in. So here is a wall presentation where when we went to that floor set, you probably experienced this if you've been in the store for a little bit, we did not get any of these hoodies. So it's like, whoa, this is the middle of the wall. This is a Real Me wall with an OTT layering element, right? So here's our options for what we're going to place in this wall. So A is our throwback crew fleece. We've got 3 colors. B is a seamless crop tee. We've got 4 colors. C is a hugger longline bra. There's quite a few colors in that one. So what would be your choice and why?
I think the seamless crop tees, because I think that the colors would just go really well with the skirts.
I love that. I think the colors like lend great to the matching sets, right? I think also the size, you're not going to have to rebuild your wall. I think that's something to think about with efficiency. Like, do I want to change this out just to get this product in a week and a half? You know, consider that that's not like your first filter, but it is a filter. And I think that's great. Like earlier we talked about seamless being a flex collection, so it can pair with another collection. It's not one of the big 6. So I think the problem with the hugger is that it is one of the big 6. So we don't want to put it in a Real Me wall. That doesn't make sense. That's confusing. And the fabrications just don't match up. And I think also the prints would be kind of wild with the floral and the tie-dye, right? And then I think the throwback crew, it's like, okay, I already have a whole layering collection highlighted here. So do I really want to throw in another piece of sweat when I already have a whole collection? So yes, I think you're exactly right. Here's how it looked executed. You would totally wear the shirt with the skirt, like super cute, great option. So that's kind of the way that you want to think about still telling the story in a way that works for what you have. And we still have our collections protected. My color story feels great. I still have my balance. It's still 4 across. And our styling was maintained really with our OTTs and how we hung our sports bras here and how our OTTs are folded below. And just to call out too, certain things like seamless shirts, for example, I'm not doing anything special to them because the way you would wear them is how they hang, right? So I'm not going to be like rolling my sleeve on a seamless because I wouldn't do that when I wear it. So not everything has to be scrunched. It's more about what the item is. Okay, so record time for this one too. So proud. Anybody want to share any learnings from today or anything you're thinking about or any like questions that you still have about offline merchandising that maybe weren't answered?
I think it's just great that even with offline, you're seeing a very, like without the buzz forms, you're still seeing a very smooth transition into an outfitting because you don't need the buzz form anymore. Like you have every single element that offline thinks of that you guys bring out, will match. It'll be a perfect outfit.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's like you have to work a little extra to do that, right? But I love when people come into offline and even like visual merchandising people who do this for a living and they'll be in there for like 20 minutes and then they're like, oh my gosh, there's not a bus form in here. And they didn't even notice because you see it all over the presentations and in the video screens and all those things. That's awesome. Anything else, guys? There's quite a few people on here.
Hey, Sarah, we appreciated the separation and comparison of Aerie and offline of the last 2 calls, especially coming from a side-by-side and how they differ. And how they're alike. So I think that will benefit us in the long run from a side-by-side business.
I love that because they are really different. I mean, we are under the same brand umbrella, but we are trying to differentiate offline as being a different experience, you know, so that's awesome. All right, any last thoughts?
I really think the color scheme, like instead of having to stick to like Roger Biv, it like opens up a whole new like world for offline. Like we don't have to stick to like one like color scheme.
Yeah, totally. It's just, it's different. And again, it feels different on that side of the store. If you are in a side-by-side, or it feels different from an Aerie store. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for your participation and for listening to me twice today. And I hope that you guys have fun in mapping this afternoon. And I am always available. If you have questions, you can reach out on Zipline. My name is Sarah Allison. If you ever need to reach out, I'm here for you. So you guys have a great rest of your day.